Level 1. The Recruit. You are 24 years old. You just finished 4 years in the infantry. The Army gave you skills. It took your knees in return. You have a duffel bag and a discharge paper. You have almost nothing else. The civilian world feels slow and soft and strange. You worked at a hardware store for 3 months. You almost lost your mind behind that counter. People asked you about paint colors and lawn fertilizer. You smiled and pointed them down aisle 7. Inside, something restless clawed at the walls. You missed the weight of a rifle. You missed the clarity of a mission. You missed knowing exactly what your job was. A guy from your old unit calls you one night. His name is Briggs. He sounds different now. He sounds like a man making real money. He tells you about a company that hires veterans. They send men overseas to do security work. The pay is 4 times what you made in uniform. He gives you a website and a name to drop. You write it on the back of an electric bill. You stare at the ceiling until the sun comes up. The next morning, you fill out the application. You list your deployments and your weapons quals. You list your clearances, too. You click Submit, and you wait. 2 weeks later, a recruiter calls you. He has a flat voice. He asks short questions. Can you pass a background check? Can you pass a physical? Can you leave the country in 60 days? You say yes to all 3 without hesitating. He tells you to fly to North Carolina for an assessment. You pay for the plane ticket yourself. The assessment is 2 days of running, shooting, and lifting. They watch how you move under a heavy load. They watch how you handle a rifle under stress. They watch whether you panic when men scream in your face. You do not panic. You learned how to not panic a long time ago. 40 men show up for the assessment. By the second day, only half remain. Some quit when their lungs gave out. Some were cut for mouthing off to the cadre. You kept your head down and did the work. That is the whole secret, you realize. You do the work and you keep quiet. At the end, they hand you a contract. You sign it without reading every page. The number at the bottom is staggering. It is more than your father made in a year. You are now a private military contractor. Your real career is about to begin. Level 2. The Static Guard. They fly you to the Middle East on a chartered plane. You land at a desert airfield at 2 in the morning. The air smells like jet fuel and hot sand. Your first contract is guarding a compound. It is a logistics base outside a city. The base belongs to the U.S. government. The company you work for holds the protection contract. You stand at a gate for 12 hours a day. You check identification against a printed list. You search vehicles from bumper to bumper. You wave trucks through after checking under them. You use a long mirror on a pole. The heat is a living thing out here. It is 120 degrees by noon. Your gear weighs 40 pounds on your shoulders. Sweat runs down your spine and pools in your boots. Nothing happens for weeks at a time. Boredom is the real enemy on this job. It dulls your reflexes and softens your attention. You fight it with coffee and discipline. You learn the rhythm of the base. You learn which guards sleep on shift. You learn to stay awake when your body begs to stop. The work is simple. The stakes are not. One car bomb at the wrong gate kills everyone near it. You think about that every time a vehicle slows down. A truck idles too long at your gate one afternoon. Your heart hammers. Your hand drifts to your rifle. The driver is just lost. He is looking for a different base. You wave him off and breathe again. That is the job in a single moment. Long hours of nothing wrapped around seconds of terror. You eat dinner with men from all over the world. There are South Africans and Brits and Fijians here. Most are former soldiers chasing the same paycheck. They tell war stories you half believe. You learn that everyone out here is running from something. A divorce, a debt, a country with no place for them. You wonder which one you are running from. The contract has rules nobody actually follows. You are told to log every vehicle that enters. Half the drivers slip the guards a few bills. You learn that money moves faster than any rule here. You take none of it because you are still new. You make $18,000 a month for this. You send most of it home every payday. You have a girlfriend back home named Rachel. You met her before you ever joined the army. She waited through your deployments without complaint. She is waiting now, too. You video call her when the connection holds. You tell her the job is boring and safe. The first part is true enough. The second part is a lie to keep her calm. You finish your first contract after 9 months. You go home for a month of leave. You marry Rachel in her parents' backyard. Her father shakes your hand. He tells you to be careful. You promise him you will. Then you get on another plane. Level 3, the protection operator. You move up to personal security detail work. The job means you protect people instead of buildings. The pay jumps because the risk jumps with it. Your client is a diplomat. He travels through dangerous cities. You ride in an armored truck in a 3-vehicle convoy. You sit in the back with a rifle across your lap. Your job is to get the principal there alive. The principal is whoever you are paid to protect. You learn to read a road like a hunter. A parked car with a man in it is a threat. A pile of trash might hide a bomb. A motorcycle that follows too long gets your attention. You run drills until they live in your hands. What do you do if the lead vehicle is hit? What do you do if the principal is wounded? What do you do if you are surrounded? You rehearse every answer 1,000 times. The rehearsal keeps you alive when it is real. One afternoon, a car cuts hard into your convoy. Your training takes over before your fear does. You push the principal down below the window. Your driver accelerates and threads through traffic. The car turns out to be a confused civilian. Nobody dies that day, but your hands shake for an hour afterward. You hide them so the younger guys do not see. A team leader who looks weak loses his men. You are 27 now. You are learning that lesson early. Rachel is pregnant with your first child. You watch the ultrasound on a cracked phone screen. You are sitting in a safe house when you see it. It is a girl. You decide together to name her Emma. You whisper the name to yourself on the long drives. You promise yourself you will be careful for her. But careful is a relative word in this job. You start putting money into an account just for her. College, you tell yourself. A future, a safe life. That account becomes the reason you keep saying yes. The diplomat barely looks at you most days. To him, you are furniture that carries a weapon. You memorize his schedule and his habits and his fears. You know which routes he likes. You know which ones you avoid. You stand outside doors while he eats fine meals. You eat a protein bar in the truck. One night, a crowd gathers near his hotel. You feel the mood shift like a coming storm. You move him out a side door fast. He never even knew there was danger. That is the job done right. It is invisible and complete. Level 4, the shooter. A war breaks out in a country the news ignores. The company wins a contract to support operations there. They need men who can do more than guard gates. They offer you a spot on a direct action team. The money is enormous. It is more than you ever imagined. The danger is worse than anything you have seen. You say yes, because the money will secure Emma's future. You tell Rachel it is just another security job. She knows you are lying. She stopped asking real questions a year ago. There is a distance growing between you now. You feel it on every call. You cannot fix it from here. You deploy to a region with no real government. Militias fight over oil and roads and old grudges. Your team clears buildings and escorts supply columns. You kick in doors not knowing what waits inside. Sometimes it is empty rooms and frightened families. Sometimes it is armed men who want you dead. You shoot a man for the first time. You had carried a rifle for years. You had never fired it at a person. Now you do it, and then you do it again. You tell yourself it is them or you. Most nights you believe that completely. Some nights you lie on your cot and stare. You think about the faces you have seen. You push the thought into a locked room. That room is somewhere deep inside your chest. You learn that trick back in the army. It works until one day it does not. Your team takes casualties on a bad rotation. A man named Doyle dies next to you in an ambush. He was 23 and from Ohio. He laughed too loud and meant well. You carry his body to the truck under heavy fire. His blood soaks into your sleeve and dries there. You write nothing about it to Rachel. You come home with money and silence. Emma is 2 now. She does not know your face. She cries when you try to pick her up. She reaches for Rachel instead. That hurts more than any wound ever has. You sit in the dark of your living room. You wonder what kind of man you are becoming. You drink more than you used to. You wake at 3 in the morning reaching for a rifle. Rachel finds you at the window watching the street. She asks what you are looking for. You cannot answer her. The truth is, you are looking for the war. Part of you misses it. That scares you most of all. Then your next contract email arrives. You stop wondering and you pack your bag. Level 5. The Team Leader. After 2 more rotations, they make you a team leader. You are good at the work. You are also still alive. In this business, staying alive is a qualification. You now lead 8 men through hostile territory. 4 are former special operations soldiers. 4 are solid shooters, like you used to be. You are responsible for the mission. You are responsible for their lives, too. That second weight is heavier by far. You plan routes and rehearse contingencies. You brief the men before every movement. You decide when to push and when to pull back. A bad call gets your people killed. A good call still might. Leadership is mostly carrying fear for other men. They look to you when everything goes wrong. You cannot let them see your own doubt. So you swallow it and give clear orders. You keep your voice flat and your hands steady. Inside, you are screaming. They will never know it. Your team escorts engineers rebuilding a bridge. Insurgents hit you with mortars and small arms. Rounds crack overhead. Dirt jumps around your boots. You coordinate the fight and call for air support. You move your men into cover. You return fire by sectors. The contractor aircraft arrive. The attackers scatter into the hills. You lose no one that day. Your men trust you completely after that fight. That trust is the closest thing to family out here. You think about that word, family. It stings more than you expected. You get to know your men better than your own kin. One has a sick mother back in Texas. Another is saving to open a gym someday. You know which ones drink to sleep. You know which ones pray. You carry their secrets like your own. When one freezes in a firefight, you cover for him. You pull him aside later and rebuild him quietly. That is what a team leader does, unseen. You are 31 years old now. Rachel sends photos of Emma starting school. Emma has a backpack too big for her frame. You missed her first day of kindergarten. You missed her birthday last month. You have missed almost everything that matters. You tell yourself the money is worth it. The account for Emma is large now. You could stop today and she would never want for anything. But you do not stop. You tell yourself one more contract will make it safe. There is always one more contract. Late at night, you are not sure who you are telling. Level 6. The Sight Lead. Your knees and shoulders are wearing out. Years of heavy gear and hard landings add up. Your right shoulder dislocates if you sleep on it wrong. Your knees ache every cold morning. You feel like an old man at 35. The company offers you a management role at last. You become a site lead on a major project. You run security for an oil facility. It sits in a volatile region near the border. You manage 40 contractors across rotating shifts. You design the defensive plan for the whole compound. You decide where the towers go. You decide who mans them. You set the patrol routes and the response drills. You handle the local guard force the client hired. Some of them are loyal. Some of them are spies. You learn to tell the difference slowly. You watch their eyes and check their stories. You sit in meetings with the oil executives. They wear clean suits and worry about budgets. You wear a sidearm and worry about car bombs. You translate their cost concerns into security realities. You tell them where they can save. You tell them where they cannot. You fire men who drink on shift. You promote men who show judgment under pressure. You write incident reports when something goes wrong. You write a great many incident reports. The region heats up. The attacks increase week by week. A truck rams the front gate one morning at dawn. Your towers open fire before it reaches the wall. Your defenses hold. Your men respond exactly as drilled. The plan you built saves lives that day. You walk the smoking wreckage afterward. You feel almost nothing. You feel a strange pride mixed with exhaustion. The client thanks you in a sterile conference room. They give you a bonus. They ask you to cut costs next quarter. You explain that cutting guards means cutting safety. They nod and smile and cut the budget anyway. The men in suits never truly understand. To them, the dead are a line item. To you, the dead are men you ate breakfast beside. You start to resent the people you protect. You are 35 years old now. You go home twice a year if you are lucky. Emma is 6. She treats you like a visiting uncle. She is polite and a little shy around you. Rachel and you barely talk about anything real. You sleep in separate parts of the house. You are providing a life you are never present for. You start to wonder what you are actually building. Level 7. The Program Manager. The company promotes you to Program Manager. You now run an entire country's worth of contracts. You oversee hundreds of contractors across many sites. You manage budgets in the tens of millions. You report to executives back at headquarters. You negotiate with the host government for access. You negotiate with the client about scope and money. You sit between the field and the boardroom. Both sides think you do not understand them. You understand both better than they know. You hire and fire team leaders now. You decide which contracts the company can fulfill. You decide which jobs are too dangerous. You sign off on operations that could go wrong. Every signature is a gamble with men's lives. When a contractor dies, the call comes to you. You have made those calls to families before. You will make them again. You know that. You learned how to write those letters years ago. The words never get any easier. A vehicle carrying your men hits a roadside bomb. 2 of them die. 3 are wounded badly. You fly to the scene and handle the aftermath. You arrange the bodies and the paperwork. You arrange the silence, too. You sit with the survivors in a field hospital. You hold the operation together while grieving alone. You write the letters home that night by lamplight. You tell their wives they died serving something important. You do not tell them what the job really was. You are 39 years old now. You barely live in the field anymore. You live in offices, on planes, in compounds. Rachel asks you to come home for good. Emma is 10 now. She writes you a letter asking the same thing. Her handwriting is careful. Her words are simple. She asks if you will be there for her birthday. You read it twice and put it in your pocket. You tell them 1 more year, just 1 more. You have been saying 1 more year for a decade. The truth is, you do not know who you would be at home. The man who left for the hardware store is gone. In his place is someone who can order men to die. You are good at that, frighteningly good. The skill has no use in a quiet suburban life. So you stay where the skill is worth something. You tell yourself it is for Emma and Rachel, but a part of you knows it is for you. Level 8. The Broker. You leave field operations behind for good. Your body cannot take it anymore. Your family cannot take it either. But you cannot walk away from the industry. It is the only world you understand now. You become a broker who staffs contracts. You know every good operator in the business. You know which companies pay and which ones cheat. You know which contracts are real and which are traps. You connect men with jobs and take a cut. You connect companies with men and take another cut. You build a network across a dozen conflict zones. A general in one country trusts your word. A defense ministry in another returns your calls. A private firm needs 40 shooters next month. You can produce them within a single week. This is power of a quiet kind. You do not carry a rifle anymore. You carry a phone full of numbers that matter. You also carry knowledge that could end careers. You know who paid bribes. You know who broke laws. You know which operations never officially happened. That knowledge makes you valuable. It also makes you a target. You are careful about what you say and to whom. You meet contacts in hotel bars and quiet cafes. You never write down the things that matter. You keep them in your head where no one can reach. You are 43 years old now. You finally live at home most of the year. But home does not feel like home anymore. Emma is 14 and barely knows you. She is polite and distant. She feels like a guest in your house. You ask about her school. She gives one-word answers. You do not know her friends or her music. Rachel and you sleep in the same bed. You feel like strangers in it. You reach for her sometimes. You feel the cold space between you. You try to be present now that you are home. You take Emma to dinner. You run out of things to say. You ask Rachel about her day. You forget the answer an hour later. Years in the field rewired you. You can read a hostile street in a glance. You cannot read your own daughter at the table. You have all the money you ever wanted. You are not sure it bought anything that lasts. Level 9. The owner. You take everything you learned and start your own company. You use your network, your savings, and your name. You register the firm in a country with friendly laws. You hire former operators you trust. Some of them served under you in the worst places. You win your first contract through an old client. Then you win another. Then you win another after that. Within 3 years, you employ hundreds of men. You provide security for embassies and oil fields. You provide it for shipping routes, too. You provide men for governments that cannot use their armies. You provide deniability for jobs nobody wants on record. You sit at the top of a private army now. You are a businessman whose product is violence. You tell yourself you provide protection, not war. The line between the two is thin. It is thinner than you like to admit. You meet with ministers and generals and executives. You fly first class to capitals around the world. You negotiate deals worth tens of millions. You decide which contracts to take. You decide which ones to refuse. Some jobs you turn down because they are too dirty. You still have a line you will not cross. You are not sure how long that line will hold. Money has a way of moving lines over time. You watch other owners cross theirs and prosper. You wonder if your scruples are a luxury. You wonder if they are a weakness instead. A coup brews in a country where you have men. Both sides offer you money to pick them. You decline and pull your people out instead. The choice costs you millions in lost work. You do not regret it, or you tell yourself so. Sleep comes a little easier on the nights you say no. Your name carries weight in serious rooms. Generals take your calls. Ministers ask your opinion. You have become the man Briggs described long ago. You have more money than you could ever spend. You have a private army and a sterling reputation. And you eat dinner alone at a long table. The house is full of expensive things. It is empty of people. You are 48 years old now. You missed Emma's entire childhood building this empire. She is in college now and rarely calls. When she does call, it is usually about money. You send it without question. It is all you have left to give. Rachel divorced you 2 years ago. She was kind about it, which was somehow worse. She did not hate you. She just stopped waiting. You live alone in a large house in a quiet country. You own everything and you belong to no one. Level 10. The Ghost. You sell the company at 55. A larger firm buys it for an enormous sum. The money question is answered forever now. You sign the papers in a glass office far from any war. You walk out a very rich man. You should feel free. You do not. The work was the only thing that held you together. Now, you are a man with too much time. You have too many memories and no mission. You move to a quiet estate near the sea. You have guards at the gate. They are men you once employed. You still sleep 4 hours a night. You still walk the perimeter at 3 in the morning. You are looking for threats that are not there. Old habits do not retire when you do. Sometimes a government calls you for advice. You take the call and offer a name or a plan. You are a consultant now, a voice on a secure line. You never carry a rifle. You never need to anymore. Your name alone opens doors and closes deals. You think about the men who died beside you. You think about Doyle, who fell in the dust. You can still feel his blood drying on your sleeve. You think about the families you wrote letters to. You think about Emma learning to walk without you there. She is 23 now and a grown woman. She emails you sometimes, short and careful and polite. You answer every one as if your life depends on it. In a quiet way, it does. That fragile thread is the only family you have left. Rachel remarried a man who comes home every night. You are glad for her. The gladness still cuts deep. You did things most people will never know about. You protected some lives, and you ended others. You built an empire on other men's courage. You built it on your own cold nerve. None of it can be written in any honest history. You are a ghost who made a fortune in the shadows. Somewhere, a young man just finished his enlistment. He sits in a small apartment scrolling a job site. He sees an ad for a company that hires veterans. The pay is 4 times his old salary. He has no idea what that number will cost him. He does not know about the locked rooms inside the chest. He does not know about the marriages that quietly die. He does not know about the faces that never leave. But he will learn. They always do. The cycle continues.